Welcome to the Property Simplified show. Today we are in Karen to speak with Steve Ndong about how his parents turned their retirement home into a hotel. Now, we all have an idea of what our dream home could be. For some, it's a place with their own compound. For others, it's a double-story house. Now, Steve Ndong's parents built this 9-bedroom home, and then when all the kids had grown up, they realized that this house was way too big, being empty nesters. Now, that's how the idea of starting a hotel came up. Today we'll speak with Steve Ndong about how it is running this hotel in the heart of Karen. Welcome to the Property Simplified show. I am your host, Claire Munde. Welcome. Thank you so much for having us at the Cold Springs Hotel.
You're very welcome.
Yes, this is a beautiful place in the heart of Karen. It's a hidden gem, actually.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about the Cold Springs Hotel.
Okay.
How did it come to be?
Okay.
Yes.
So, Cold Springs, the idea of Cold Springs was ideally my dad's idea. Even the name is inspired from the place he was born, where we call home, Munde. And because of access to water, water is constantly revolving, so to us water is life. And so the idea of Cold Springs came from the name. And why this property is it was initially built as a retirement home, my parents' retirement home. But they quickly figured out as soon as we moved in, hey, this place is going to be too big. Yeah, given that at some point we'll all leave the nest. Yeah, so they figured, okay, we may as well start thinking of what we would do with the space because it's too much space for just 2 people. So a year after we moved in, I joined university and I opted to study hospitality and tourism management. And to them, an aha moment, a light bulb went off. Like, you can actually turn this thing into a small property, maybe guest house or something along those lines. So they didn't share it with us. So I went off on my way studying my first year at USIU, then transitioned to studying at Caesars in Switzerland, which is pretty much the best place to study hospitality and restaurant management, or even culinary. So while I was there, I think it was the final years of my study. They said, hey, we're thinking of turning the home into a hotel of sorts because it's too big. You guys are all the way, and it's too big for us. So they started playing with the idea of a guest house while we were still staying here. So they hosted a few people. It was bringing in a decent buck, and they're like, We could probably fetch a better price if we turn this place into a hotel instead of just have it as a guest house from a branding perspective, because the place has so much to offer. So 2011 they moved out, and towards the end of 2011, around 2011 August. So throughout 2012 they were working on the space, at least trying to get it up to international standards for hotel, to at least check the boxes to make sure that we can be classified as a hotel. And come 2012 December, we had a soft opening, and 2013 we officially opened our doors in January.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how long did it take to build this home now that's turned into a hotel?
That took about 5-6 years, give or take. It was a slow, arduous process, because I mean, if someone is building their retirement home, they want to take it slowly and get everything they'd like done for the property, done to the best of their liking. So being that my dad is an architect, he had a big hand in the design, and my mom, being very well versed with interior spaces, handled the interior design. So my dad focused on the building, and the landscaping, mom focused on the interior design, the picking of the furniture, the painting, the colors. That was all her. And yeah, so 6 years between 2001 and 2007. November, December is when we moved in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me some of the inspiration of some of the bits and pieces of this house. Like just behind us, we have this flowing stream that kind of gels with the staircase.
Yes.
So what was the thinking behind that, and what material was used for that?
Okay, so the waterfall. Like I said, my dad is fond of water. Water is a big significance to him. It's life. And in even his home up country, he has a waterfall feature. So this is something that started way back, even before my brother and I came into the picture of the family. So he wanted to have the same representation here, because water is very calming. He has very long days as an architect, and when he comes home, he wants to be greeted by a feature or something that will welcome him home and get him relaxed, away from the stresses of the workplace. Yeah, so that's why the waterfall. Now the materials that were used are concrete and carbon fiberglass moldings. Yeah, so those were just packed with cement and packed on there for about a week or two. So once they set, they remove the moldings and then treat it. And then there's a protective layer that they apply, and some resin, and then a final glaze to give it that nice, natural, rocky feel. One would actually think that we actually put a piece of rock here and it was carved into the waterfall. Same concept for the pool outside.
Area. Yeah. Oh, that's really good. Now, something that really stood out for me here is that there's a basement.
Yes.
I mean, when you come in, you would never suspect there's a basement. Now, that was actually a bunker. Now, I need you to tell me the thinking behind that, and just how did that come to be? Because it's a very interesting concept, and I want you to tell me how it gels with the master bedroom, because that's something that I haven't seen before, and I think it's pretty interesting.
Well, so one of the many challenges that we had when building the place was coming out of the basement was a nightmare, because most buildings in this area of Karen will just do the foundation and then come up the first floor and then the second floor. Of course, zoning for current residentials, you can go above 3 floors. So my dad thought, why go 3 when I can go 1 below? Just for the, just being unique. Being unique. And he also wanted a space where we could have gatherings. If it was going to get noisy, we're not bothering the neighbors, because Karen is also very sensitive with noise. They love their peace. It's a generally quiet place, and the residents of Karen love keeping it that way. So those were some of the thinking of going down a level below. and still sticking to the zoning of Karen. And one of the many things that my dad integrated to the basement was a place of safety. That's why it is referred to as the bunker, and even now for meetings, it's still referred to as a bunker because it's a safe and private space for you to have your meetings or a place to do work unbothered. Yeah, so what he did was, as a safety feature, there's 2 staircases going into the basement. So one is from the ground level, and the other is from the master bedroom, which is now our current suite. So in the case those to be any break, and all of us would head in the direction of the master bedroom, of course, there used to be a protective grill there before, and through the very spacious bathroom, there's a door that leads into a stairway, and the stairway connects you all the way down to the basement. So once all doors are locked, before anyone realizes there's anyone in the house, in the confusion, because the house is big, the property is still big. So before anyone, say someone who's coming in and they don't know what they're looking for, as they're busy wandering off into the different rooms, will probably find a way to escape. If not, there's still a hidden compartment behind another row of cabinets that hold the water tanks, so it could easily just hold there for a few hours in the case of any insecurity. And that gave us a lot of peace. More so, we just moved in to coming off the 2007 elections. Post-election violence had erupted, so we knew we would be safe. Yes, we were on high alert, but should anything happen, we knew we would be safe.
Okay. And how many acres is this property on?
It's on a little over 0.6. Yeah, it was initially thought to be an acre, but we later found out that it was 0.6. And the space was used very, very wisely. Yeah, the building covers most of the space, but you wouldn't see it that way because the garden is it's sprawling. It's a sprawling garden. So you think, okay, there's a lot of space here.
So the gardens you mentioned are used for different kind of events, weddings and other kinds of events. So what is the ideal kind of client for that kind of place outside there?
Okay, so being that we're on a small lot, our ideal clientele is someone who wants something intimate, something that is not over the top. There's other spaces for those type of gatherings, but for us, we deal primarily with people who want to do small events, anywhere from as little as 5 all the way to 200, if we're pushing it to 150.
So what are some of the challenges that come with running a hotel like this one?
Okay, so being in this industry means you're constantly dealing with the human element, the human aspect, and all its varying changes. We're all different. We're as different as the fingerprints on our fingers. No two people are the same, and we all have our own needs. So one is handling the clients to the best of our ability, depending on whatever the client wants met. If they have expectations, our job is to meet and probably exceed. From a personnel standpoint, this is an industry world over that has been termed to be one with the highest staff turnovers. So that could be one, competition. Someone is looking to grow their career. Issues within discipline, or someone no longer fits, the direction the business is going into. So there's constantly moving in and out, and then of course this is an industry that is business is dictated highly by seasons. So when we hit a low season and it's really bad, you look at your balance sheet and you're like, okay, fine, the wage bill is pulling heavy on me. Sometimes you need to make cuts. Those are uncomfortable decisions that we sometimes have to make as business owners. And the other one is the fluctuating prices of the resources that we require to keep the place running. So if they shoot, it means our prices also take a hit.
Yeah.
Now, if your clients are used to a particular price point, you also lose on that end, because you also have to balance. I can't reduce my margin because things have gone up. And I also have overheads, because the overheads in this industry are on the high end. Because if you're a classified hotel, you're on 24/7. There's someone on the property at all costs. So there's electronics running, there's lights on, and there's always something running. So it's not particularly cheap to be in this industry, but again, it also depends on which segment of the industry you're coming into.
So tell me, what is the best thing about working in this kind of industry? It's challenges, but what are the good points about it for you?
Well, personally for me, I think the daily challenges. Each and every single day is different. Each day is different. It is not the same. Some days are good, some days are terrible. And there's days that you start the day and you end, you're like, okay, what was that? What did I just experience? But again, it's just, you wake up every day knowing that I will experience something different. So from the clientele to the requests to unique problems that are unique to this industry. Electronics are failing, your full house, guests are on your neck. You have to keep the ship afloat. So each day has its fair share of surprises.
Okay. And what kind of clientele do you have here? Do you have like the everyday, like if you want to spend a night, or you have longer stays, or all?
It's a mix, really. Since 2017, prior to that we were a little more exclusive, but since 2016, 2017, we started opening our doors to a little more clients. So we saw our client pool vary. So from your immediate neighbors, Karanites, to going down towards Langata, and then you have the transient clients, the business clients who just touch and go, leisure clients spaced out through the year, both internationals and locals. And then someone just wants to get away from home. You're tired of that space. You want somewhere neutral that still feels like home, that you'd like to just run to and recharge and renew your energy levels. And yes, we also entertain those clients. So from a night to anyone who wants to stay 6 months. Some people in transit, they're either moving into the country to settle or they're leaving the country. So this becomes a staging point for them.
And then talking about the interior, which you say your mom had a good hand in, there's a lot of African feels, yet it's still contemporary. What was the inspiration behind? There's a lot of picture frames from different areas of Kenya and beyond. There's also the pieces here and there. What informed that?
So my mom, well, she is African too. She's very proud of her heritage, and the one thing that she wanted with the place that she'd call her retirement home is anyone who walked in would leave with a memory. I went in to meet Mama, but I left having learned something. So that is the reason for the information of picture frames, the different artifacts that you see behind it, a blend of African and modern days. So she wanted a truly authentic African feel to her home. She didn't want it to be European, because these are people who are very well traveled. She didn't want it to represent any other culture other than African. So even if she's entertaining her friends from abroad, they'd come and say, we went to this lady's place and we really felt the African culture come alive. From the service, how you were treated, how you were welcome, the space you're staying in, how homely it is. It just gives you a sense of belonging. So that's why she went for that feel.
Okay, now as we wrap up the interview, what would be some of the advice you'd give people who want to enter the hotel industry? What are some of the things they need to look out for and consider before entering? Because as you've said, it's a very rewarding one. It has its challenges.
Okay, so if you're getting into this industry, you must have a passion for this side of things, because if you don't, when costs start going up and it becomes to you maybe timing it as a black hole, for your finances, you start asking, okay, so why did I get in? You must have a passion, and you also have to understand the ins and outs of the industry, at least at basic level, to know what you're getting yourself into. And you need a good team. A good team does not come by easy. You don't get a good team from day one. It's a consistent process. You're constantly changing, you're constantly evolving, constantly refining your product. But if you have a good HR, you have a good accountant to make sure that your books are well kept, that your costs are being managed well, you have a kitchen brigade that knows what they're doing, you have well-trained waiters. If you're a little bigger, you can have a host or a hostess, and then have great front office people, and then a dependable back housekeeping. Then you should be okay. You should really be okay. And then, of course, don't expect to break even very fast. Yeah, like any other business, it is a process. This is an entity. It's like a child. When it's born, you have to nurture. Step of the way, with each and every single bump, you restructure or you relearn, unlearn some things, realign, maybe change focus, change strategies, but the idea is you're in here. So what is your goal? What is your focus? Who's your main clientele? Then who are your fillers? So that you make sure you have a nice evenly spread tone throughout the year, both in high, peak and shoulder season.
Okay. There you have it. Now you know all you need to know if you want to get into the hospitality industry. We have been speaking to Steve Ndong about how his family turned this family home into a hotel. This has been the Property Simplified show, and I have been your host, Claire Munde. Until next time, have a good one. Bye.